We've got more relationship drama. Apparently, we love to listen to it, when it's not us in it. So, first story, my husband's ex just got hired at my office and it's causing problems. Can't say I would want to work with my husband's ex. Not that I have a husband, but you know what I'm saying. This story, oh my gosh, 10 years ago, April 20th, 2016. My husband and I have been married for 2 years, together for 8 years. 7 years ago, he cheated on me with a repulsive woman who knew about me but still pursued him relentlessly because the challenge was fun. I'm already getting the vibe that we're hating on her for pursuing a married man, but the man was married. So a married man can only be pursued so much. Unless he allows that, Anyways, let's just read. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here. I found out by chance when he accidentally sent me a text that was meant for her. I cut contact and I tried to move on, but he was persistent and eventually we got back together. There was a drastic change in our relationship after that. He seemed to lose interest in all other women in general. He said that the time without me had been an eye-opener and that he never wanted to feel like that again and wanted to better himself in every way possible. It took a long time for me to even remotely trust him again, but it happened with time. I thought I was over what had happened. My mom kind of pounded it into me that I had two options: break up and move on, or get back together and work past it. What she was saying was that if I made the decision to be with him, we had to work past it. I couldn't be with him and use this as some sort of tool or weapon to whip out whenever I wanted to over the years. I agree with that. And she was right, that wouldn't have worked. So we worked it out together. He never tried to excuse his actions, which I appreciated, and we both made changes, and then we kind of grew up. We started from square one and built up from there. We bought a couple of houses, we got married, and life was good. I didn't think about it much at all, and when I did, it was kind of a look how far we've come sort of way. Like I said, I thought I was over it this whole time, and apparently I'm not. When I walked into my office last week, the first thing I saw in the waiting room was the other girl's nasty face. She had been hired with my company, and it was her first day. She has a very unique face that is impossible to forget. I didn't acknowledge her, and I went to my office, but I couldn't concentrate. I don't want to be anywhere near this awful person. We work in the same department, but on different teams, so we will have pretty close contact on a day-to-day basis, although not constant either. She has been in training so far, so we haven't really talked at all. I have gotten multiple accidental friend requests from her on Facebook when she's creeping my page, so I know that she recognizes me. When my manager walked her around the office, introducing her to people, I just kind of smiled and nodded in her direction. She smiled and winked. I'm not sure what to do. I feel sick just being near her. I see her face and I can't stop picturing it against my husband's. I've been mad at my husband on and off ever since she started at my office. I'm reliving the whole thing and I'm pissed that he did this to us and that I am in this situation now because of him. I'm just happy to hear some accountability being held on the husband's part. Yes, you shouldn't go after anyone who is in a relationship or married or anything. Agree. However, he also pursued and did that. He hugs or kisses me and I pull away, and I feel crazy that the reason for this is something that happened 7 years ago. I was wondering how much time has passed. 7 years ago. Ooh, yeah, see, I could never get over that. That's just me. I would struggle big time. I did talk to him about it, but I'm not sure what I expect from him. He's extremely sympathetic and apologizes profusely that I have to be near her. He keeps pointing out how much we have grown and how amazing our life has been, and reminds me that he's a different person now. I walked into our room a couple nights ago and he was sitting on the bed crying because of what he has done to us. I don't know what to do. He has encouraged me to do what feels best, whether that be to continue working there or quit. He has been supportive of either decision and pointed out that he could support us easily if I quit working altogether. I don't want to leave my job. I worked extremely hard to build my way up to this position. I earned it. I make good money and I have amazing benefits, but I feel sick just thinking about being near her every day. Am I crazy here? What would you guys do if you were in my shoes? Am I seriously losing it to be upset about something that's 7 years in the past? Input, please. Would you guys be able to get over that? First of all, get over that with your partner and get back together with them, and then the affair partner working with you 7 years later. I wouldn't. That's just me. I couldn't get back with a cheater in the first place, let alone having to work with the affair. Oh my God, no. Oh my God, no. That would be very unhealthy for me. Let me know though what you guys are thinking, because maybe you've been in something similar. I hope not for your sake, but maybe we have an update. So let's see what happened. The next update came 6 days later. One thing I wanted to clear up is that my husband, never slept with what's her face. Does that help? That helps, right? I mean, I would prefer you didn't sleep with them if you're gonna cheat. I realize how this was implied when I said cheated, but that didn't happen. They hooked up, but not actual intercourse. Well, yeah, I don't feel better about it. And yes, I know that beyond any possible doubt, so no reason to speculate there. Anyways, on to the update. She got fired! Oh, well that helps. Turns out Miss Crazy Pants used me as a reference to get the job. So I had decided to leave it alone and let her fail on her own. That didn't take long. My boss was in my office talking about her performance when she said, "I'll be completely honest, she's not exactly how you described her." I had no clue what the boss was talking about, so I asked her to elaborate, and she said, "Well, when I asked you about her before we hired her, you described a much different performance level than what I've seen so far. Does she usually take a while to adjust and get into the flow of things?" By this time, I was completely lost. I know for a fact I never mentioned her to my boss, and I've definitely never talked about her work ethic or performance to anyone at all. My boss looked at my blank stare and said, "Are you forgetting this whole conversation? A few weeks before we hired her, I asked for your reference. You said she was a team player and a great asset." Well, F me, I did refer someone when the position opened up. And when my boss asked for a reference, it was super off the books, very laid back and informal. I think her exact words back then were, "So tell me about the woman you referred. I got her resume and she looks great on paper, but how is she as a person?" And I answered in reference to the actual woman that I referred. Turns out, Crazy Pants really is that crazy. She must have gotten my employment info off of my Facebook, like so many of you pointed out. I hadn't even thought of that before, and I have changed my privacy settings since. I have no clue what her end game was. She probably wanted me to get the reference request from my boss with her name actually on it just to mess with me or let me know that she's been watching. I don't know if she actually expected to be hired. She is blocked from all my social media accounts, and our building security already has a record of filed employees to keep an eye out for. If I hear from her or see her again, I'll look into legal protection from her. But for now, I am letting the whole thing go. Bye, Felicia. Well, honestly, best case scenario in the end for you. Now you can just keep working on your marriage and see you later. That's crazy though. After 7 years, like you're still even thinking about me? Weird. Next story. I found a male sock in my girlfriend's room. When I confronted her about it, her roommate took the blame, but I don't believe them. Ooh, a sock. Out of all things, a sock. You know, pair of underwear kind of seals the deal, but like a sock? A sock. Just one? Not even a pair? This story came September 11th, 2020. So a couple days ago, I was at my girlfriend's place cleaning her room while she was at work, and I occasionally do that when I come over. Upon cleaning, I found a sock that didn't belong to me between her bed and nightstand. I know it's not mine because I didn't own any socks of that brand. I immediately became upset and I left, but I didn't text my girl because I didn't want to jump at her, especially while she was at work. So I went home and I chilled out. When she got off work and got home, we FaceTimed, and that's when I asked her whose sock it is. She said, "It's probably one of my exes before I met you." And I said, "We've been dating for almost 7 months. I've cleaned your room many times and I've never noticed a sock that your ex left." I could tell that she wasn't taking me seriously until she finally said, "Are you trying to accuse me of cheating?" And I said, "No, I just want to know whose sock it is because you know that it doesn't belong to me or you." And she hung up immediately after that, and I blew up her phone. So about 15 minutes later, she called me back. This time it was her roommate on the phone. Her roommate claimed the sock belonged to a guy that she was with, and it ended up there when my girlfriend and her roommate were talking. He came in and threw a sock at her. Apparently the guy just never came back to search and get a sock. The guy was a one-night stand on Tinder, so she didn't have any way to contact him and confirm. So the story just had holes, and it felt very made up on the spot. I just said, okay, I didn't really believe that story, because if it was true, why didn't my girlfriend remember some guy throwing a sock at them? I'm not naive or gullible. I know it could be a lie, but I just overthink so much that I drive myself crazy. I don't want to act on anything that I'm not 100% sure about, but my gut feeling is telling me otherwise. Do you guys think she's cheating? Should I investigate more or let it go? Edit. I will add a detail that's not in my post. My girlfriend and I don't text all day every day. We are not that type to be under each other every day. We both have jobs and I go to school, so we're busy. We probably spend 2 to 3 nights a week with each other. I'm just never all up in her space wondering where she's at or what she's doing. Maybe you should be. I don't know. How do we feel about a sock? Part of me is like, I don't know. I kind of believe the sock story. But then another part of me is like, she's obviously cheating. I don't know. We have an update, and it came 6 days later. So for the last week, we've gone back and forth about it. The story has changed so many times, but now I finally got the truth. I tried to take everyone's advice and let it go, but the whole time while this was going on, I just felt like I was being stabbed in the gut. The situation went from her saying that it was her roommate's guy to her saying that I planted the sock there to have an excuse to hate her and be controlling. But 2 days ago, she told me the truth, and this is what really happened. Before her and I started dating, she told me that there were 2 guys that were friends who used to come over to their place and they would hook up. One guy would be for her roommate and one would be for her. Her roommate connected with the guy who she used to hook up with, and since he was going, he invited his friend that my girlfriend used to hook up with. My girlfriend claimed that she had no idea this guy was coming over. Anyways, she said feelings started coming up, so she and this guy went to her room and she told him that she had a boyfriend, but he didn't care. At first, she said they just talked. Then she said they kissed. Then she said, okay. Then she said he performed. I'm gonna just say he performed on her. You get it? But she stopped him. I didn't believe one, but I think they had sex because why would he take off his socks? But I guess that doesn't really matter at all. I broke up with her and I pretended not to be around her, but I'm really broken up about it. She drunk called me last night asking if I love her, and after I had the heart to hang up, I almost cried. I know I could just work it out with her, but I have a no cheating policy. I've cheated on people. People have cheated on me, so I know what it's like to be on both sides. Okay, so she cheated. You know, that's the worst. When people cheat and then they try to blame you and make you feel crazy, like, oh my God, you planted the sock there. Knowing in your head that you fully cheated on me, like that's some crazy shit up there, let me tell you. And I've experienced it firsthand. Oh, whoa, like that is some seek help. We've got more stories, but we need to hydrate first. It's hydration station, your favorite time of day. Cheers. Drink your water now. You guys, Lila approves of the new Dollarama finds, but I have to show you. This throw blanket is from Dollarama. I swear by these ones. I have them in a few colors. They're so cozy and they hold up in the wash. Like they hold up quality is what I mean. Oh, okay, Lila's itching herself. Then I found these pillows, and I know they're giving 2000s, like when everything was fuzzy like that. But I found both of those from Dollarama, and Lila was just cuddling and sniffing them, so I think she approves. Although it doesn't look like it. Lila, do you approve? You kind of match the pillow. You are, this is you. That's the pillow. Next story, I want to break up with my boyfriend for a younger guy. Okay. This story came November 6th, 2025. For the sake of protecting both of our identities, I will refer to my boyfriend as John, fake name. John and I met at work. He was my office manager for several years. About 3 years ago, I went through a really rough breakup with my ex, and my mental state was very poor. John could see how upset I was at work, and even though I did my best to leave it at home, I didn't really want to be the latest office gossip. So when he started offering his office for me to work in private, I was super grateful. Sometimes he would also be there, but he was often needed elsewhere, so I wasn't too concerned about the other type of gossip forming. Over time, John and I grew a close bond, and after a few months, we started going out for drinks and food. I guess you could say we began dating. The age thing was always in the back of my mind, but for those first few months, we were really good, so I didn't think too much of it. He was kind, funny, caring, and just seemed like a really great guy. Guys, I just quickly searched this title in Reddit because I'm like, we need their ages. So I, female 32, I want to break up with my boyfriend, male 54. She's 32, he's 54. That's important. I need to know. After several months of dating, John made the decision to transfer offices to avoid any conflict of interest or potential problems with the company. Not long after, we moved in together. That is when the problems started to reveal themselves. At first, it was small, stupid things like he would insist I stop watching my favorite TV shows because they were childish and stupid. You would hate me then. I watched Hannah Montana last night before bed. So I would laugh and say he didn't get it because he's old, and we would make a joke out of it. The thing is though, he wasn't joking. This became a constant thing, and it began to weigh on me until I decided to just stop watching. Next up was my clothing choices. He accused me of dressing like I was in my 20s, like I was wanting to attract a young guy. So I started dressing older and more appropriately. He started making me feel bad about my friends, accusing them of being childish and boring. He would go out of his way to ask them questions about philosophy and politics and then berate them for not knowing the answers. And this is why I could never date someone older than me, okay? Yes, if you think I'm too immature, I probably am. Sure, great. We should not date. I will be over here watching Disney Channel with my stuffed animals. I'm older than her too, so that would really piss off John. My friends confessed they didn't like being around him because he made them feel belittled, which is exactly how he often makes me feel. I hardly see them anymore, but I don't blame them for wanting to distance themselves. I used to have a lot of independence in my life, hobbies, friends, and fun. Now it seems all I ever really do is what John wants to do, most of which are things I find absolutely mind-numbingly dull. Whenever I push back or try to do what I want, he will shut me down and make me feel tiny and stupid for suggesting it, often using his age as a way to say, I know better than you. And that has been my life for the past couple of years until recently. Enter Mark. Again, fake name. The new guy at work who is incredibly fun to be around. He has amazing energy, charisma, and bundles of charm. He and I get on like a house on fire. We share a lot of the same hobbies. He is only a couple years older than me, and he makes me laugh in ways I haven't laughed since I was a kid. The kind of goofy, uncontrollable laughter that makes your sides hurt. That's how it should be, girl. You should be this happy in whatever relationship you're in. That is the joy. That's what you want in a life partner, you know, because you're spending the rest of your life with them. So you better pick a good one. I find myself thinking about Mark a lot. I look forward to going to work to hang out with him. I get butterflies in my belly when I'm around him, and I feel a genuine warmth when I'm with him. To be clear, nothing romantic has happened between Mark and me, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't want it to. John was there for me when I really needed someone. Maybe I'm the problem for not strongly advocating for myself. I've always been a people pleaser. I can't even tell what's real anymore. If I'm being selfish or childish or getting swept up in the fantasy of it all. Then we have an update, which came the same day on the same post. I realize now that my problems with codependency and the fear of being alone pushes me into these unhealthy situations. I will be ending my relationship with John, but Mark and I will remain nothing more than colleagues and friends for the foreseeable. I need to learn how to be comfortable being on my own and rediscover myself before I consider entering any new relationship. Okay, maturity. And here I was being like, dump him, go with Mark. Just kidding. I would not suggest dumping John and going right into Mark. I agree. I agree. I just simply agree. Especially because you got with John after going through a breakup. Like, you're like breaking up and then you attach on to someone is what it seems, and you're kind of admitting it. So yeah, if you're just going from one relationship to the other, you need time, guys. I swear. And when I was single, because obviously I've been single in between relationships, like, I'm not good at dating. I was just single AF. I didn't like go on dates. I didn't talk to I was just me and Lila, baby. I didn't talk to nobody. I was alone. And it's hard. Very, very hard, but freeing. Next story. I have slept with both of my best friends, and my boyfriend of 4 years is uncomfortable with that. Rightfully so. This story came April 30th, 2015. Let me start off with the problem. My two best friends in the world are male, and I've slept with both of them. It's not as bad as it seems, though. It's not like I have feelings for either of them. They're both childhood friends who I've known for years and years, so I love them both with all of my heart. But the thought of being in a relationship with either of them is unfathomable. See, I don't understand that. You know, I have childhood friends, male, female, from kindergarten still in my friend group, okay? The thought of touching them is I'm not understanding how it's like, oh, I can like get naked and do the most intimate thing with them, but in a relationship, God no. What? That's crazy to me. Like, my childhood guy friends quite literally feel like brothers. Brothers. One of them, we'll call him Rob, is married now, but we had a brief relationship senior year of high school. Relationship? So you did date him. We broke up. Girl, you full on dated this man. We broke up after less than a year for several reasons. So being in a relationship with them is not you were. I wanted to travel abroad for university. He wanted kids and I didn't. His mother didn't think I was a good fit for him, but we still remained friends. The other one, we'll call him John. It's a bit more complicated. I would never date him because he has serious issues. And it's not so much the issues that stop me from dating him, but the fact that he adamantly refuses any kind of help or therapy for them. He had some major childhood trauma that he's big time repressing, and it's affected his ability to have a relationship. He is a bit of a womanizer. After I got back from university abroad, I was 23 and all alone, and I needed a place to live. His parents had moved out to a condo on the beach, and they let John live in their old house. And he offered me one of the spare bedrooms for very low rent. So we lived together for a while without any incident. I dated a guy for like 2 years, and John had a constant stream of women in and out of his bedroom. But we discovered a system that worked for us, and we became closer than ever. The problem was, one night, about a year after I broke up with my ex, we hung out in the house alone and we got drunk together. We hooked up and we had amazing sex, like really mind-blowing. It was great and we didn't want it to stop. So we kept hooking up for about 8 months. I just can't relate to this. At that point, one of his old exes came back into his life and he realized he had feelings for her. We tried to stop hooking up, but quite frankly, we have no self-control. I realized I was 29 and I had a steady job and there was no reason that I shouldn't move out. So I left. We had one last night of sex the day before I moved out and agreed to never talk about it again. My boyfriend now, we'll call him Sam, has been a long-time coworker of mine. We started working together when I got my job at 26 years old. He was 29 and getting divorced. Sam and I became best friends in the workplace. He would tell me stories about his divorce and I would tell him embarrassing childhood stories about Rob and John. Oh yeah, did I mention we all work together? Girl, what the if I was your friend, girl, I would not be helpful in this situation. This is wild. Rob and John are in different departments, but it's a pretty close-knit company. So he knew that I had dated Rob in high school, but he never knew about me hooking up with John. When I told him I was moving out of John's house, he asked me why, and I just said that we were getting older and it was time for me to get my own place. That just happened to be the day that he confessed his longtime feelings for me and we began to date. Now on to our problem. Oh, I already know the problem. About half a year ago, we decided to move in together. His lease was ending and I owned my house, so he moved into my place. He sometimes works really late nights, and on occasions, I will have Rob or John over to keep me company when he does. Oh my God. Last night, he was meant to be working until 11 p.m. John was here and we were hanging out in the living room. It was about 10:30 p.m. and we were drinking a bit and talking kind of loudly. John mentioned to me that his girlfriend was always jealous and worried that he and I had feelings for each other. I said that was silly and that just because two people have great sex doesn't mean they are in love. As I said, we were talking pretty loudly, so I guess Sam came in at some point and heard me say it. I didn't even hear him unlock the front door, but he stormed into the living room and confronted me, asking when John and I had sex. He looked equal parts disappointed and angry. John left because he didn't want to be involved in our argument. I explained everything, told him that John and I used to hook up when we lived together, and that was part of the reason I moved out of his place, because it wasn't healthy for us to have that kind of relationship. It had been 4 years and we rarely ever spoke about it, and it hasn't affected our friendship at all. Sam now tells me he's uncomfortable with the fact that I have slept with both of the people I consider my best friends in the world. He's also uncomfortable with the fact that just a few days before he and I got together, I had sex with John. This is completely understandable, no? Reasonable feelings are being had here. He says it taints our entire relationship because I lied to him about it. I think he's being a bit dramatic about it. Of course, I have a sexual past, and why does it matter if it was only a few days before, since it didn't mean anything? It's not like I had feelings for John, and we always used protection and frequently got tested, and I told Sam that. So it's not like he's concerned about health risks. He got jealous and he wants me to hang out with John less, and he doesn't feel comfortable with us drinking together at all. He also insists that I should make new friends and separate myself a bit from Rob and John because it's weird that both of the people I'm closest to are people who have seen me naked. I think he's being entirely unreasonable. Okay, well then let the girls that he has slept with and dated in the past be his best friends in the world and come hang out and drink while you're at work late at night. No problem. I just feel like it's all about respect and boundaries. That's all. We have an update though. Oh, long time later, 14 months later, July 4th, 2016. After reading all the comments on my last post, I realized that Sam was not overreacting at all and would have been more than reasonable to break up with me because of this. I'm just so glad you realized that. I showed him my post and we had a long discussion in which I promised I would never hang out with Rob or John alone again. I told him I loved him so much and he was the most important person in my life and I would do anything to gain his trust back, even if he wanted me to stop seeing my friends altogether. He said that wasn't necessary and he didn't mind if I saw them alone occasionally, just that he would prefer it if it were in public and not late at night or with alcohol involved. He felt sorry for being judgmental of me, but I told him that he was completely right and my relationship with John was inappropriate. I just needed something like this to make me see it. So we moved past it fairly easily and are now actually married. Okay. It was a courthouse wedding on our 5th anniversary. Very lovely. Now here's the part where everyone was right. After my conversation with Sam, John and I drifted apart a bit. I still hung out with Rob and his wife, but John broke up with his girlfriend and I no longer felt comfortable being alone with him. So he and I would hang out with Rob, but that happened maybe once or twice a month, where before we would see each other a few times a week. Then, last Thanksgiving, when Sam and I announced we were getting married, John actually left dinner early. He replied shortly to all my messages, didn't return my calls, and barely spoke to me. So he had feelings for you. I didn't see him again until my wedding in December. You can guess where this is going. Thankfully, nothing happened at the wedding. It was a small ceremony, just our families, a couple of Sam's friends, Rob, his wife, and John. We went out to a restaurant for a reception dinner, and John seemed withdrawn the entire time. I guess that he was just not happy that I was married. So, since Sam and I got back from our honeymoon in January, I have only seen John maybe twice, once for Easter and again for Rob's birthday. I've tried to say hi at work, but he always makes an excuse and walks away. He didn't even come to Sam's birthday last month. After that, I decided I would stop trying to reach out to him and he could talk to me whenever he was ready. Last week, he was finally ready. Sam was offered an opportunity to travel abroad for 8 months with his job, with me invited to come along. We decided to accept it, and I suppose that John saw Sam's Facebook post about it because the next day, John sought me out at work. He asked me if I was really leaving the country for 8 months, and when I said yes, he asked why I couldn't stay. I asked why he cared if I stayed when we hadn't really spoken in months. He said, "I'm sorry, never mind," and walked away. But at that point, it was clear what was really going on. So Sam and I are leaving in September. His job will still be waiting for him when he gets back, but I have decided to find a new one. I'm glad that I will be out of the country for a bit. I feel really stupid to not have realized that John could have feelings for me. There's never really been anything there on my end, so I just assumed it was the same for him since we were already roommates and friends with benefits. It seems obvious now. I am so deliriously happy, in love with my husband. I don't even want to think about what would have happened had I not posted here. Did Reddit save this relationship? Girl, I'm just happy you learned, you know what? A learning lesson. And it worked out for you. So, you know, a win is a win. Let me know all your thoughts. I'll see you in the comments section. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. Bye.